I think that just as we're living in a nuclear age, we have grown so tremendously in scientific knowledge. It doesn't seem too much to say that men can begin to awaken to the fact that they haven't grown enough spiritually and haven't recognized their spiritual capacities.
Once something like eating is death, then you've struck at the very heart of life. The enemy of the older radical theories may have been the ruling class. But today the stakes of whether we will reform ourselves into a new kind of human being, a new kind of society, whether we will find selves worth being, the stakes of it are simply life itself.
Tomorrow, we're coming out with our next edition of Dust Bowl Diatribes on this channel. It's already out on podcast. It's an interview between Spencer, our friend Caleb, who's a teacher I've interviewed on this channel, and myself, basically the two of them interviewing me. And as I said, sometimes the scariest interviews are the ones your friends do. So if you want to know more immediately about the book and some of the themes in the book, listen to that podcast tomorrow. But what I wanted to tell you about today is some sessions that are coming up on the book, live sessions that I'm going to do that hopefully you'll want to take, whether you get the book or not. But this is the book. It is out in paperback. It's also on Kindle and ebook if you go to the publisher, Vapenstock, which I will put in the notes below. But what I want to show you today is how to get more information about these sessions and take a look and see whether you might be interested in getting in on these sessions. What I'm hoping is that we can have a good conversation where I will be talking about some of the most important themes from this book, and then hearing towards the end of each session what the participants make of it, right? And the questions that they have. You'll see the sessions there are November 18th, December 2nd, and 9th, January 6th, and 20th. And if you go to Eventbrite, you will, for $20, you can basically sign up for a ticket to any of those sessions. But the sweet deal is if you sign up for any of those sessions, you will get access to all of them. That's just the way Eventbrite works. We wish it could be a little bit more clear, but just know, like, if you sign up, you'll get all 5 sessions, and you will get all 5 recordings if you miss any of them, or even if you don't miss them, if you just want them. So like, as you can see there, you might as well sign up for the 18th, but let's say that you missed that. No problem. You can sign up for any of these other sessions, even late in January, and we will email you the recordings for all the other ones. So that's one way to go. And, if you possibly can, this is great because it helps the organization. It helps the Mooring Academy keep going, as well as helping me engage with you and getting information out about my book. You can also go to the Mooring Academy Patreon, and for $5 a month at that level, you get the recordings not only for all of those sessions, but also for everything else we do. And we have reading groups, we have more classes coming up. You get all of our classes that we've taught in the past. So you have a catalog of things to watch and listen to, all recorded. If you want to also be able to attend our live sessions, you can, for $10 a month, attend all of our live sessions, including the ones that I'm going to be doing on my book. So that's a great deal, and it's a great way to help us continue. We really do need your help. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Also, Mooring Academy itself has a YouTube. I'll put the link there. I will link all this information. But what I wanted to do was just kind of show you, if you go to this website, which I will link below, you will see a description of all the sessions. The first one has to do with my personal story and talking about how a lot of times people's ideological positions are reactive and are based upon personal insults and injuries, as well as just a lot of feelings and a lot of negative events that have happened in their lives that people react to. And so it is just not the case that people arrive at their ideological positions, whatever they are, in a fully, quote, rational manner or objective manner. That's not a knock against people's politics, mine, yours, or anybody else's. It is a human psychological fact. So I explore that through my own story. And then in session two, I look at right wing movements around the world, including the one that has kind of become ascendant in the United States, and how, to a certain extent, they are reactions. They are reactions to economic globalization, just as left wing movements have been in the past. And so I'm going to talk about some of the trends that have conditioned us to be at this moment. So we go back into capitalism, capitalistic market imperatives, automation, globalization as threats to our well-being. And then in session three, I'm going to be talking about our food supply and our agricultural system and how the way that we get our food affects so much of our economic and political life. It's all connected. And so, even though this is not the most jazzy of topics in most people's imagination, nevertheless, if you do not eat, you cannot live. And our food system is very tied up with globalization. It's very tied up with automation and fragmentation. And our food system has largely abandoned the medium and small local business and so on. So I'm going to be talking about that. In session four, I will be talking about religious strong arming, a concept, a term that I use to describe the tendency of people to be sucked up into, sometimes it's mega churches, sometimes it's a regular sized church or other social group, honestly, that kind of claims to give you all of your social context. I try to explain why that happens and why in the United States religion has become politicized. And that really is kind of on the right and on the left, but right now the right wing is very ascendant in this country, in the United States. And so examining how churches are involved in that and what draws people to them and why it's very difficult then to leave them. I do talk about the psychological elements there. I talk about cult-like mentalities that people can adopt because of vulnerabilities, real vulnerabilities that they may not even be completely aware of. So hopefully that would be an interesting topic. I mean, Carl Jung is one of my inspirations, right? And more generally, I do a lot of diving into political psychology in that chapter. And then finally, I'll do a session on my practical suggestions for change at three levels: the individual, the church, and or other group, and the political policy level. Okay. So I won't leave you completely hanging with the typical experience of, oh, they did a pretty good job dissecting all of our problems, but didn't come up with any solutions. Now, you might not be happy with my solutions. You won't see in this book or in my talks absolute ideological consistency. I consider that a strength. I do know the difference between theory and practice. I do know when ideological consistency becomes an albatross around your neck and actually a threatening thing, right? That's what a lot of my research is about. So I'm not ashamed to say I'm heterodox. I don't always hew a particular party or ideological line. I consider that one of the things that I can offer in this book and talking about it. So I urge you, if you can, to go out and get the book. It's paperback, hardback. I don't know anybody who probably wants that except for libraries, but paperback from what I've in stock. It's Cascade Books imprint. It's on Amazon. We also have, it's out on Kindle. And if you go to Whip and Stock, you can get the ebook there too. It's also at libraries now as ebook, right? So if you have access to Libby from your local library or maybe Hoopla, I'm not sure, but definitely Libby, it's there. And you can always go to your local library and request that they buy it. Okay. So that way a lot of people can have access to it. I really care about this. I have the credentials, not just on the academic side, But as we're going to talk about in the interview tomorrow, in my personal life, in the time that I've devoted to the Morin Academy, to the Catholic Worker Farm in Kansas City, to dealing with things in my own personal life, trying to in my own way make a difference. So with the experience as well as what I have learned over the course of my lifetime in studies and most recently in collaboration with other folks at the Morin Academy, I'm offering all that to you. If you like the fact that I tend to boil things down and make them presentable to a general audience, you will like this book. I haven't talked to anybody yet who didn't basically say it was understandable. And it's written in a way where you can, let's say that you really don't like heavy duty theory. There's one chapter that kind of represents heavy duty theory. You can skip it and read all the other chapters and it'll be okay. So I wrote it that way. But even the heavy duty theory, so to speak, is written in a way that you might be comfortable with it. Okay. So that's what I do. I try to digest and I try to apply ideas in a non dogmatic way in order to accomplish something. And this book should help you understand why we are at this moment in time in our society. Thanks for listening and look forward, hopefully, to the Dust Bowl diatribes tomorrow with my buddies Spencer and Caleb.